Ever wondered what POSH is? Good morning. Let's talk about sexual harassment at workplace, that is the POSH Act. In India, every Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act is governed under POSH 2013. So now let's talk about a very noticeable feature of this act, which is that it only covers women, and that too in a very limited space of workplace. For a better understanding, let's delve into the meaning of sexual harassment and workplace. Section 2 Clause N of the Act defines sexual harassment as any unwelcoming behavior of a sexual nature against a woman that creates a hostile and intimidating work environment for a woman. A typical sexual harassment behavior would include some sort of physical gestures that are inappropriate for a woman in a workspace. It can also refer to certain sexually corrupt remarks passed by either employer to the aggrieved woman or by the employees to the aggrieved woman, and it can also refer to seeking of sexual favors by the aggrieved woman. What is a workplace? A workplace is defined under Section 2 Clause O of the POSH Act, which refers to a professional setup wherein an employee performs his responsibilities and duties as per his agreement towards his employer. In case of an unorganized sector, it may refer to a company or a place wherein an employer and an employee relationship is being carried out in terms of production, sales, or any other services as per the contract, and it is mostly in the companies or in the organizations where there are less than 10 number of employees. Where can a complaint be filed in case of a sexual harassment at workplace? A sexual harassment at workplace complaint can be filed with ICC, that is Internal Complaints Committee, in case where the number of members in the organization is less than 10. In case where the number of employees in an organization is more than 10 and the complaint is specifically against the employer, a sexual harassment at workplace complaint can be filed with the local complaint committee. In case of an unorganized sector where there is no ICC or LCC, the complaint can be registered with the local commissioner. As per Section 11 of the said Act, a complaint or an inquiry under POSH has to be mandatorily concluded within 90 days. Now let's talk about the remedies available under POSH. The remedies includes the first and foremost as the monetary compensation enshrined under Section 15 of the said Act. The monetary compensation so awarded to the aggrieved woman is based upon certain parameters as enshrined or enclosed within Section 13 of the said Act. Such parameters include the physical and the mental trauma faced by the aggrieved woman, the loss incurred by her on account of career opportunities, the medical expenses incurred by her due to such an incident, and the feasibility as well as the income status of the employer in making a payment in lump sum or in installments. Now let's discuss about the interim reliefs available during the pendency of such a complaint to the aggrieved woman, which includes granting of leave for up to 3 months, the counseling support on behalf of the employer or the employment company, as well as change or transfer of workplace. Now let's delve into the penalties available for the non-compliance of the provisions under this Act. In case of a non-compliance of the provisions at the behest of the employer, that is to say that if an employer fails to constitute the Internal Complaints Committee or to create any redressal mechanism for an aggrieved woman to report such a behavior, the employer can be charged with a fine of up to 50,000 rupees. In case of a regular and a repeated behavior of non-compliance at the behest of the employer, higher penalties may be imposed, which can also lead to the cancellation and withdrawal of the approvals and licenses required to run such a business. In a case where there is no redressal mechanism available under this Act, the employer is under an obligation to assist and to comply with the complainant in filing of the FIR so as to ensure that the work environment is safe for her. But what about the misuse of the provisions under this Act? Let's discuss. Section 14 of the POSH specifically stipulates that a case wherein a complainant fails to bring substantive proofs on record in order to establish the claims made in the complaint does not qualify a complaint to be a false or a malicious complaint. However, in a case where a false complaint has been filed by an employee with the malicious intent to cause harm to the reputation and finances of the company or the organization has all the rights to move against such an employee by way of taking appropriate legal actions. In case where a company specifically suffers through huge reputational and financial loss by way of such a false complaint of the employee against the company, the company can move by way of Section 499 IPC proceedings, now under Section 356 of BNS, by way of criminal defamation against such an employee. In a case an employee feels that his complaint has not been properly dealt with and has been right away dismissed, such an action can be then questioned before the Labour Court or the appropriate court for seeking remedies by the employees. I hope my discussion was sufficient enough for you to be clear about the POSH rules. Thank you.